Is it time to visit Anderson Valley? Fine wine investing, new market update. Is this the beginning of the end for Tier 3 distribution in the wine industry? And when will you realize Vienna waits for you? All that and more on this episode of This Week Uncorked. Yes, I know I have a future career in music, but anyway, hello and welcome to episode 17 of This Week Uncorked for November 11th, 2024. I'm Brett Martin from Cork and Journey, your number one source for Corkage fees. We also have fantastic wine reviews and winery reviews and restaurant reviews, so head over to Cork and Journey and check that out. But now let's get right on into the news. So my little ditty that I sang there, the Wall Street Journal, Lettie Teague has picked Vienna, Austria as her favorite wine city. It's not that the city that jumps into most people's mind when you're thinking about, man, I'm going to go for wine, but she makes an absolutely compelling case. From the article, she writes, when onophiles I know talk about the great wine cities, they invariably cite London, Paris, and New York. But after 5 days in Vienna, in early October, I'm putting this great Austrian city at the very top of my ranking. And then she's got an entire short list of all the reasons to go check it out. So I have never been to Vienna, but I am going to check it out. And nice article. I did a shared link. It's in the Wall Street Journal, which has a paywall, but there should be the link in the show notes. It should be a shared link, so you should be able to read that. And I think they'll give you one or two articles for free anyway. But nice article if you've ever thought about checking out Vienna. And moving on, a wine enthusiast named Mendocino County as the 2024 Wine Region of the Year. Anderson Valley actually did a whole press release on this, the Anderson Valley Vintners Association, Wine Growers Association. Anderson Valley falls right in that Mendocino County region. We have checked out a lot of Mendocino County. We've hung out there. There's some amazing hotels down on the water that you can stay at. The Albion River Inn, which was been purchased and renamed, but is still there. So if you look up Albion River Inn, we've got a review of it on our website. Amazing. I mean, you are just up high over the ocean, just a beautiful spot. Then to get to Anderson Valley, you kind of got to drive through the redwoods about half an hour. And then you're in, probably one of the biggest wine regions inside of Mendocino County. Just amazing stuff there. I would suggest if you are there that, you stop by Roederer Estates, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. They make some amazing sparkling wines. And yes, it's the same Roederer that's over in France as well. But a pretty nice wine region, very, very low key. So you can kind of walk in anywhere. You don't need reservations. I think we visited 4 or 5 wineries when we were there one day. Lulu Cellars and Joseph Phelps, and kind of went through, not Joseph Phelps, Phelps and I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, just visited just a bunch of them. You just walk in, $20, $30 tasting fees, very nice people, reasonable, not the hustle bustle that you get when you're in Napa or Sonoma or any place like that. So, and you're only about an hour away from there. So check it out next time you are up in that area of California. And now, quick plug to our buddy Rex Pickett. He wrote that book Sideways. He's got a website, rexpickettbooks.com. He has 4 Sideways novels. He's got posters. He's got other kind of things. He'll sign them for you. Use the code CORK10 to get 10% off your entire purchase over at rexpickettbooks.com. All right, moving on with the news. The drinks business has got an entire article on basically the valuation of fine wine. So if you don't know, there is an entire industry around never drinking a wine, just buying the wine for investment purposes and selling it later. Well, it's taken quite a hit over the last year or so, and there have been some big decreases, especially in French wines across the board. But basically, they are quoting a Wine Cap's Q3 report. Says this, standouts included the Krug Vintage Brut 2004, whose strong performance of 21.6% gain made it the best performing wine year to date. Also, you have a Chateauneuf de Pup that came in at the 2012, which rose by 21%. A Sassicaia from 2011 saw a 21% increase. And while the 2015 vintage of Sassicaia was also up 12.1%. But then the article goes on to point out that the biggest drop was seen in Bordeaux, which on average fell 4.4%, driven by a 6.6% fall in the second wine 50 index and the right bank 50 index, which fell 4.6. People who invest in wines are serious about this. Basically, it's like stock market indexes. You got a left bank index, you got a right bank index. You've got all of these different rankings as to where wines rate. Anyway, and most wines from the 2020 vintage, which had previously appreciated in value, have now basically come back down to their original release prices. So wine investing is not for the faint of heart, but it has been something that over years has been proven to be rather successful. If you're interested in it, there's a company called VinoVest. I put a link in the show notes. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't use them, but they basically they'll buy and acquire the wines for you and hold them and try to find the very best ones for you. They also are big on whiskeys because there's this whole phenomenon now around spirits and the return on investment that you get there. So anyway, so Pappy Van Winkle, like it's an example of that where, it's a bourbon that if you can get a bottle, it's going to be $500. And then the instant you get it, it's sold out. It's worth thousands of dollars. Empty bottles of it are worth $500. So it's all supply and demand thing. And sometimes people get all hyped up. So anyway, check out the article if you're interested in investing in fine wines. And then probably the coolest story I've seen all week is from Wine Spectator. And it is talking about how the entire three-tier distribution system in wine might be upended because of a ruling in Iowa. So basically in Iowa, so change this around a little bit. In most of the states, most wineries can basically sell directly to consumers. So you can log on to the winery website and going to ship your bottles. But you can't, if they want to sell into a restaurant, normally they will have to go through a distributor. If they want to go into retail, they can't sell directly to the restaurant. They can't sell directly to Total Wine. They go through a distributor. The distributor handles their wine and sells it all. In Iowa, in-state wineries, yes, there are wineries in Iowa, could sell not only directly to consumer, but directly to restaurants and directly to retail. But out-of-state wineries were not allowed to do that. From the article, should wines in California, Oregon, and other states be able to sell wines directly to Iowa retailers, bypassing wholesalers? Yes, according to a September 30th federal court decision. U.S. District Judge Rebecca Goodgame Ebinger, I like that, Rebecca Goodgame, ruled it was unconstitutional for Iowa to allow in-state wineries to sell directly to Hawkeye State retailers while preventing out-of-state wineries from doing the same. So kind of big news. I mean, if this kind of goes up and percolates up, it could change everything as far as how wine gets into restaurants and how wine gets into retail. And it could save the consumer a ton of money because you could basically cut the middleman right out. Now, distribution does serve a big part in this because a lot of winemakers don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the contracts. They don't want to deal with the delivery. They'll just ship, 1,000 cases to their distributor who will get it to where it needs to go. But there are a lot of small independent wineries that don't really have that ability and would love to be able to sell into a restaurant and do that kind of thing. So anyway, there you go. Nice article over in Wine Spectator. And with that, let's get to our wine and winery of the week. Well, I talked about it before a little bit. In Anderson Valley, Roederer Estate Winery. So Roederer, their reputation precedes them. This is the same as Louis Roederer Champagne. This is their sparkling wine house in California. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful setting. It is a beautiful winery. They have got amazing food selection that goes with it. They do fish and chips, which is caviar and potato chips. It's just a wonderful setting, outdoors, indoors, and they do some beautiful, beautiful sparkling wine flights. This is their L'Hermitage 2013 Brut Rosé. We picked up a bunch of sparkling wine when we were there, and I think it's made basically every bit as good as what you get from Louis Roederer over in Champagne. So, well worth the stop if you're in Anderson Valley, like we talked about earlier. Check out Roederer Estates. I think you will find it to be very appealing. And now take a look at our wine of the week. A champagne. While we're on the subject, why not? So we did a nice review of a 2013 François Lecompte, a Premier Cru Brut champagne from a Premier Cru grower. It tastes like $100 bottle. We rated it 91 points. It was solid though. This is 40% Chardonnay, 30% Pinot Noir, 30% Meunier. It is killer. I mean, just a beautiful champagne at that $50 price point. Those are hard to find. Ones that really jump out at you like the big guys. So if you get a chance to find a bottle of this, I highly recommend you pick it up. This was a 2013 vintage at $50. Just bought it like a year ago, 2 years ago. Worth checking out. You can find it out there. All right. And with that, let's move on to our restaurant and corkage of the week. So if you find yourself in South Orange County, particularly in the Laguna Beach area, which is Monarch Beach, kind of nestles right up to it there, kind of in between Dana Point and Laguna Beach, if you know that little coastline area, there is the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Used to be called something else. It's changed names 3-4 times. Now it's a Waldorf Astoria. Anyway, it's been voted the best steakhouse over and over again, and that is Bourbon Steakhouse at the Waldorf Astoria, Monarch Beach, California. This is not a cheap restaurant. We give it 5 stars, but it's also $5 signs. But it is well worth it all the way around. The views are fantastic. The service is fantastic. And if you know Michael Mina, you know that the food is always going to be great. We've done reviews on strip steak before, another Michael Mina place. And all of his favorites from all of his restaurants, they kind of make the menu at every single one of his restaurants. This is no different. Really well worth it. And I noticed as we were going through the photos there that, they've got a corkage fee and it's $40. And we brought this bottle of Gandona in, no problem at all. It was weird though. They actually had it on the menu, which is rare that you ever see Gandona on any menu because it's a small little vineyard up in Pritchett Hill up in Napa Valley. Matter of fact, we have a whole video review of it on the channel if you want to check them out as well. But they didn't mind, and they let us uncork the bottle, and we had an absolutely lovely evening. Also bought a bottle of champagne. We did take an Uber. So anyway, it's a great night. So if you're down in Monarch Beach, head over to Bourbon Steak if you're looking for a very nice special dinner. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on another edition of This Week Uncorked. I'm Brett Martin, and we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or Instagram. Follow us there, follow us on X, all the social media channels. And if you're ever looking for a corkage fee, head over to corkagejourney.com. Cheers. See you next week.